You may have noticed that President Trump is at warp speed in his first 10 days in office. And everybody's remarked on it. And executive order after executive, I think it's 200 executive orders so far in 10 days. And all of it pertains to one subject: overturning what Joe Biden did. And most people don't understand the damage that Mr. Biden did to the country. Second worst president ever, next to James Buchanan. And if you read my book, In Front of the Presidents, we back that up. But the reason that Biden did so much damage, I believe, is number one, he was never really in control of his mental faculties, ever. And number two, he didn't care. He didn't see the big picture. So let me give you some specifics to back it up, because that's what we do here. So even if you voted for Joe Biden, okay, or Kamala Harris, who was pretty much an enabler of Mr. Biden, there was no difference in the two politicians. So even if you supported them, I'm going to give you stuff now that is in stone fact. So you may not want to watch, because people, when you criticize their decision making with facts, they get angry, a lot of them. So Joe Biden spent more money than any other president ever in his 4 years. All right. He increased the deficit. All right. And this goes up to 2031, because remember, the spending that Biden put in didn't stop when he left office. That's why Trump paused all of this federal spending, which he got him into a controversy. So this is from 2021, first year of Biden, to 31, 10 years. So Biden adds $7 trillion to the deficit. What does that mean? It means that the United States spends $7 trillion more than it takes in. Nobody has ever come close to that. And right now, the debt here is 36 trillion, which is going to go up no matter what Trump does. Okay? And it's going to reach a point where the interest payments the United States makes on the debt, remember, in order to cover all the Biden expenditures, or anybody's expenditures, any president, you got to borrow money. And in order to borrow money, you got to pay interest. Those are treasuries. Can't be able to buy them all over the world. So now, the amount of money we just pay in interest is close to bankrupting our Treasury Department. The only way out is to generate revenue, which I hope Trump does with the federal land drilling of oil. We need to get a piece of that. Federal government, the people need to have a piece of that, not just money going to the oil companies. And you pay the debt down with that. And then you have to raise taxes, which they do incessantly. There's a tax for everything. The state I live in, New York, heaviest tax state in the union. Every time I turn around, another tax. I mean, on the most unlikely things. You got to get emissions for your car, tax. You got to get an inspection for your car, tax. You got tolls everywhere, congestion pricing, tax. You want to buy a house? Now they got a mansion tax. You want to transfer your money somewhere? Tax. You want to give money to your kids? Tax. Tax. It's not going to stop here. Now, in some states, like Florida, they have a control. Not here, not California, not Illinois, not Massachusetts. Okay, liberal states. We want to spend, we want to buy votes, we want to give stuff away, and we will. Now, they can't now because they're out. Thank God. So Biden, number one, was so fiscally irresponsible. And he'll say, oh, we had COVID, Trump had COVID. And Trump spent a lot of money in his first 4 years because he had to redesign the military, which he did. And the military spending is out of control, by the way. Military spending is way through the roof irresponsible. We have to have discipline in there. We need to compete with China in particular on the military front. But we can't be buying soap for $18. And that's what happens. There's nobody in charge. Nobody watching it. So Trump has got to impose discipline. Now, is Hegseth going to do that? I don't know. I never heard him talk about it. It's one of the reasons I was skeptical of him. Okay, so the spending is number one. Then there was all these woke federal government orders. The main one was global warming, climate change. So the left, as you know, believes that we're all going to die in about 30 years because the oceans are going to rise and drown us all, whatever they believe. And so they want to get away from the carbons and all of that. I'm all for getting away from the carbons if you have an alternative that can supply power. And right now you don't. Okay, you don't have it. So when I looked into putting solar panels in my 100-year-old house, I couldn't afford it. I mean, I could have afforded it, but it was so expensive. And then the guy said, well, it might not work if it's cloudy. So, okay, good. So anyway, Biden puts in all these regulations that drives prices higher for everything to diminish fossil fuels. We all know about that. And Trump knocked them all out, which is why the prices are going to come down eventually, because Trump is doing exactly what Ronald Reagan did in 1981, because Carter tried the same thing. Carter just screwed everything up energy-wise, and Reagan came in and unscrewed it. Thank God for the American people. And then there's the executive orders like advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That was signed January 20th, 2021. All that was taking wads of cash and just throwing it at people who lived in ghettos. Go do what you want with it. Well, do you think you've seen any improvement? In Bed-Stuy in New York, has that improved any? South side of Chicago improved any? How about Crenshaw in LA? See any improvement there? No. But massive amounts of money from an executive order. Preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity. Okay, that sounds good, but it means that if you are gay or trans, you can't get fired. No matter what you do. You could drive a nail into your boss's foot and you're not going to get fired. You're not being treated like everybody else. You have exalted status. How about the tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad executive order? Okay. Again, that went in and said, you know what? You can't have this stove. You can't have that barbecue. You can't clear brush from the woods. Or whatever madness. This is controlling how Americans live. Establishment of the White House Gender Policy Council. So 10 pinheads get paid, a couple of $100,000 each, and they have a gender policy council. Okay, good. That's a great investment, right? This is all Biden stuff. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce. This means you get hired on your basis of your skin color and your gender, whatever that gender is. That's how we hire you. And Trump has knocked all of that out, okay? And was there ever any explanation on this? No. In 4 years, President Biden held 37 press conferences. I think Trump in 10 days has held 15. But Biden never explained any of it. So people went around and they didn't even know what was happening. So the point is that Trump comes in and he's got to undo all of this. All of it. That's instead of looking to solve Ukraine or Gaza or negotiating with China, whatever, he's got to spend his time unraveling the insanity that Biden put in. Final comment on Joe Biden. I have nothing against him personally. Like the Trump haters, I don't hate Joe Biden. I'm a policy guy. I just say, give me one thing that Joe Biden did to improve the lives of we the people. Give me one. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town. Give me one. And I'll read it on YouTube. I don't know of any. 4 years, everything's worse. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.